Greetings to the best family on YouTube. Well, that's our opinion at least here at Carryorbury. I'm your host, Prophet, and with me as always is the Professor. And we thank you for joining us for yet another EDC video and another knife video. EDC family, once again, we have a first impression and unboxing on the table here in front of us. For those of you that don't remember what that means or just haven't been around to know what that means, it means we're going to have a shorter version of our carryorbury game that we'll play with you today. Instead of playing for our recommendation, basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be questioning whether or not this item is going to be useful for us or something that we want to carry for you for at least 30 days so we can do a full review. What does that mean? It means the item is playing for its chance to be carried by myself or the Professor or both of us for a minimum of 30 days. This will get us enough time to collect the data that we need to give you a full carryorbury game and thus the actual real review of the item, which is always our opinion. Now, if you're new, please feel free to back out right now and check out our video number 20, which is our rules remix of both the full-length reviews, which are the full carryorbury games, and of course also making sure you understand these videos, which are our first impression and unboxings, which we call our mini games. Enough. All right, folks, today is the CIVIVI Baby Banter, okay? This particular Baby Banter is, I believe, if I remember right, it's in red and white colors. The blade is a red PVD coating, and the white, or what the industry calls ivory, are the scales or handles, depending on your level of EDC knowledge. So this knife today, as usual, was purchased by us locally, without any help or discounts from any retailer or maker. This was bought on Amazon. So we purchased a bunch of popular knives that had ratings above 4.5 so we could give them our look. Now, we have them in a big box and I randomly grabbed one out for the unboxing tonight. So let's talk about what this knife cost us. Again, it was an Amazon knife and we paid about $65 for this one plus tax, which would make this knife one of the most affordable knives that we've had on our channel thus far. Pretty cool, huh? So, quick FYI, if you don't like this particular color combination on this knife, remember, it's just the aesthetics. This Baby Banter comes in a very cool variety of colors, steel types, and even different scale materials. Oh, again, or handle materials. Obviously, this will affect the pricing. However, just in case you do like this size and design, you can most likely find one that fits your individual style pretty darn easily. Okay, let's put the CIVIVI over here for a quick second since we don't have any of our icons up, and let's do a show you the flipper, which is our Prophet's pocket check. Today, I was actually out and about and I really kind of kept it light today. So I did bring the Grimsmo Saga with me today as my pen. As my flashlight, as you'll see here, I brought my little O-light, and I believe this one is the i3T EOS. Just a little guy that will get a brighter with a double click. Not anything super fancy, but I do love the gold and the blue. For my pocket knife today, folks, I actually had something that you probably haven't seen me use yet. This little guy is an Italian knife. Oh, pretty darn cool, huh? This comes from the Montiago Knife Makers, or MK, and this is the Novus Viper. It is a front flipper with real Italian carbon fiber, which I'll be honest with you, when we do the review on this, we'll talk about that. Really nice backspacer that's curved and rounded, and a very sleek blade. At any rate, this was Prophet's pocket check, and I was happy to show you the flipper. All right, let's talk about what we came here to do today. So usually to wrap up our opening section, we always talk about the name of the knife that we're reviewing. So this again is the CIVIVI Baby Banter. It's one of the smaller size knives from the Ben Petersen Banter line. So Ben Petersen used to work for Blade HQ. He was actually one of my favorite people to watch when they were early on with their YouTube channel, which the name of their knife show was Knife Banter, hence the word banter. What's really cool about it is he really brought that guy next door type of personality. Really not a huge knife guy, right, at first. We were able to watch him grow, and it was super special. So the name, why not, right? Why didn't he just do the name Ben or the Petersen? Because that's who he is. Well, he's a pretty cool person, and he wanted to give a shout out or give a little credit to the name of the show that really he helped launch over at Blade HQ at the time, which again was Knife Banter. Now, he didn't really go completely out of the woodwork on this. The knife, depending on the banter size, will come in a color option called the Ben Blue. That's his special color. Okay, so we learned the name of the knife and its meaning. Remember, since this is not a full review, there's no Professor's Portal today, so we'll get to save on electricity here at the compound. I love that part. Okay, now, since there is no Professor's Portal, we're going to check in with dear old Granny quickly before we start the Knowledge is King section. I know you folks really do love the Granny sayings, so we figured let's keep bringing them on while Professor gets the icon set up. So as you all know, the people that follow us, I have large hands, and when I am grabbing stuff and moving around, I don't really always have super flashy things unless it's a coin or a chain or something. Now, when I was caught with really colorful or bright items while I was growing up, there's one saying in particular comes to mind. Now, since this knife is brilliant ivory and red and is very bright, it's not usually something I'd pick up for myself. So I'm going to kind of give you a reason why that might be subconsciously. When I was a small boy, whenever I would have something super colorful in my hand, my grandma used to say, "Boy, that thing is so bright in your hand, if you were to put it in the middle of a pack of fainting goats, they would think you were doing a fireworks show. At least when they all get up. You know, Prophet, because they're fainting goats." Yeah, Granny, I get it. Now, Granny may not be known, right, for her sayings being perfect, but I think you kind of get the point of that. The one thing I will tell you, since we're about to start the Knowledge is King section, is if you remember, she used to say a pack of fainting goats. Well, that's really not the real term for it. Depending on the type of goats and the size of the group, right, a group of goats is usually called a tribe, a trip, or most commonly, a herd. See, we're already teaching you something, and that icon is just now getting up in the section there. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Professor's reminding me in my ear, I am supposed to teach you something about the actual product that we're looking at. So my little Granny tidbit is not going to be the actual Knowledge is King. Well, while that Knowledge is King icon is swinging, and since this is a mini game, and since you all remind me constantly to try to keep these sections more short, especially in the mini games, and we're here for knowledge, if this knife does make the cut, get it? Cut? We'll learn more about it from the long form game. But for now, here's some quick knowledge on the creator. Again, Mr. Ben Petersen. So who is this Ben Petersen, right? Ben Petersen is a knife designer. He's an entrepreneur. And he's a marketing e-commerce personality. His awesome career in this industry spans a minimum of 12 years, if not more by now, with stints at, as we talked about, Blade HQ, the knife company, CRKT, and Amazon-focused businesses, both Pattern and Heyday. So again, while Ben was at Blade HQ, he produced and co-hosted the YouTube show Knife Banter, which really got off of the ground when he was involved, which, again, we think is amazing. Now, we'll always put some ways to check Ben out for you in the details section, perhaps his Instagram. We'll have to see what Professor can find. But for what we can learn, if nothing else, is that you can be a businessman or businesswoman and still grow a unique love for EDC. Ben is the perfect person to go into the knife world, both as a business person and as someone who didn't have a ton of knife experience beforehand. He then grew his love of his consumers and his companies that he represented and ended up making his own brand of knives. This shows you that you too can make a difference in the EDC world. Not to take anything away from Ben, however, but I would imagine even he would agree with my previous statement. You want to know more about CIVIVI? CIVIVI's parent company, We Knives, or Ben Petersen? Well, you'll have to wait to see if this little one can pass the mini game. But remember, just in case it doesn't, don't worry. There are other banter sizes available and other steels and things like that for us to buy and try as we move forward. But I'm getting ahead of myself here, as usual. Okay, so with Knowledge is King winding down here, and that little icon professor wants to get off the screen, let's open this guy and then get into the professor's particulars. Now, like everything that we buy from Amazon, Professor may have opened some of them at some point to check them out, but I have not seen this knife. I've seen oh, it came out really easy. There's no sticker. So this just, there is nothing else in the box, folks, as you can see. Just slides right out and you get a nice little case. I tell you, for a $65 knife, getting even a little case like this is really cool. And we're going to open it together and get that in the camera shot there. And boom! Oh goodness, all kinds of love. Let's move. Holy cow, folks. The case is a nice little, faux fur line case. Don't get mad, Peter. That's definitely not real. You get the knife, which looks like, well, it's got a little, I don't think it was taped up, so I don't even know if the professor checked this out. We'll put that aside for one quick second. We'll put that right there. CIVIVI gives a little banter sticker here. You get a Blade Show Best Buy of the Year with their Elementum and most likely some more references to like their Praxis and other knives. I believe this is the Praxis or the Elementum. I'm sure you in the comments will correct me on that one, so you get a sticker of that. You get a 10-year anniversary sticker celebrating with We. You get a CIVIVI sticker. You get a care and warranty card. And you get, wow, this is actually a very nice, oh, it's big too. Oh, wow. This is a really nice microfiber. I love the way it feels, very soft. So as you can see, there's quite a bit in there. So let's put the stuff away momentarily, get that out of the way. Let's get the CIVIVI love down here. I hope that won't mess with Professor. There we go. And let's get into my first impressions and the professor's particulars. Oh, wow, that is a little guy. There we go. Oh, it is so red. My goodness. So as you all might remember, if this knife does get the nod in the mini game, we will carry it for a minimum of 30 days before doing the full review and either recommending for you to buy it or burying it in our backyard. Now that the Knowledge is King section is gone, you are going to say hello to the Professor's Particulars section, which, if you don't know, it's just our fancy icon and fancy word for the stats, right? And since this isn't a full review, I don't have access to all the stats because I wanted it to be as authentic as possible. And the only way I can get us some stats is by opening and playing with the knife. So let's first and foremost take a peek. Oh, by the way, that kind of just popped out of there. But if you are interested in any Carrier Bury stickers, any Carry or Bury business cards, Carry or Bury lanyards, and some of them can even be signed if you request them to be. These have to go out. Or Carry or Bury microfiber towels. We do have some bigger microfiber towels on the way. Hopefully they'll be here soon, so just let us know in the comments if you'd like us to send any of that out. And do let us know if you do want any of them signed, and we will do that for you. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to open our little scale here. It says hello. All right, folks, as you can see, we're going to start with the weight of this little guy. And the pocket clip is on. It's straight out of the box, and we are getting basically it's 2 ounces, honestly. I mean, you're 2 ounces and 44 thou. It's pretty remarkable. So we're just going to call it 2 ounces. We are going to do that. We're going to put our scale away. All right, since we got our weight, again, we're at 2 ounces. Let's take a look at our dimensions on this guy here, okay? So we'll look at it closed first. And honestly, the cool thing is, since we're actually dealing with such a small knife, I don't even have to pull a ruler out, which is one really cool thing. So our closed dimensions on the knife are 3 102 of an inch. For our friends, oh goodness, let's see if I can do this correctly for you guys. For our friends overseas, we are about 79 and 41 millimeters. Okay, let's get that back to our inches here. Okay, let's take a look at that blade, everyone. Whoa, I am telling you. Let's see here. Oops, which way? Okay, so we're at about, honestly, at the end here, depending on how the police officer wants to grab you, you're about 2.4 inches on the blade. Now, usable blade length, I'm not going to be perfect on this since it is curved, but you're just over 2 inches. So you got just over 2 inches, and you do have that little choil there, which is really neat. Actually, you know what? Let's take a look at the absolute length of this guy open. Let's do that real quick, EDC family. Whoa, I'm hitting it on you. Whoa, goodness, little guy. Do I have enough room, or do I got to grab the other caliper? So we are just under 5.5 inches fully open on this guy, which is pretty remarkable for me. I believe it's one of the smaller knives I've had or I've purchased. And when you're doing YouTube stuff, it's easy to just go through all the things that you've bought in first, but eventually you have to start looking at things that our EDC family may enjoy, right? A lot of you out there may be much more interested in something like this. So we owed it to you to get started. Okay, the blade steel on this little guy is Nitro V, and it does have that little choil so you can move up. And, you know, I actually, with the choil, I can actually darn near, you know, I mean, obviously it's not coming out the end of my palm, but it's definitely something that it feels a little bit bigger than I thought it would. Okay. Now, obviously, when we do the full review, we're going to have actual stats for you, and they'll be the full stats of the knife. But again, we like to keep this a little bit shorter just because it's a first impression. Then, what we can do for you is if it does pass, we will obviously carry it and let you know if anything changes. Okay, the next step is let's look at it next to some other knives, right? Okay. Let's take a peek. Our first knife, I'm going to actually use the CIVIVI branded microfiber just because they sent it along. Let's take a peek at it next to the QSP Penguin. Now, this penguin is sporting Timascus scales, which get super dirty. Well, show side Timascus, the reverse or the clip side, is just purple titanium, but it also has a Timascus pocket clip. As you can see, the blade has been through some really fun stuff. I actually have used this knife a lot more than I care to admit. But let's take a peek, and I'll give you a quick look at that Timascus since it doesn't have any of my fingers on it right now. But let's take a peek. So the QSP Penguin's not a large knife usually, but as you can see, the Banter literally fits in it very easily. I mean, it's definitely one of those things where you get a whole extra half a handle, if not more. Thickness-wise, you're about the same darn thickness, though, you know, give or take, as the QSP. It's just a big difference. All right, let's put that guy away, and let's take a look at another smaller knife for my collection. This knife is the Quiet Carry Waypoint, and it's sporting Vanex Super Clean steel. This knife is mostly 100% ready to get lost in water for a short period of time. In fact, one of our channel's favorite YouTubers, Mr. Nick Shabazz, actually had this as his shower knife for a period of time, which I always love that story. This one definitely needs to get on my KME and be sharpened. Whatever I was doing with this really ruined that edge. I apologize for you having to see that. Again, as you can see though, the Waypoint, even though again it's a smaller knife, it really just dwarfs this Banter here, this Baby Banter. The one thing I will say though is when you look at it this way, take a look at the scales. The Banter scales are definitely going to be a little bit more contoured, and they're going to be a little wider at the bottom there. So what they're doing from my first impressions is actually pretty darn good. Another smaller knife that I have, and again, folks, I apologize. I don't have super small knives to give you a really good look. Here is the Hogue Deca in Magna Cut. Let's take a look at that. And again, it's not even close. Normally, I'll tell you this, folks, I will grab some smaller knives. So when we are doing this, if we do the full deal with you, we'll keep you posted. Here's a smaller knife that a lot of you do know. This is a Spyderco PM3. Professor, it is not the paramilitary 3, okay? It's the PM3. But as you can see, even with the Para 3, there's just no comparison. Honestly, this Baby Banter fits within the Para 3 like nobody's business. You could actually, well, I wonder, let's see if we can make it almost disappear without the Spidey hole. Well, the Spidey hole aside, you can see through the Spidey hole, but that's about it. This truly is a one-of-a-kind knife. And just because I have it right here, let's take a look at the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 with it, kind of see the progression here. So you have the Spyderco PM2, the Spyderco PM3, the Baby Banter. I think that gives you a pretty decent representation of the size right there, so we'll kind of leave it at that. Let me get these guys put away real quick here. And let's, again, say goodbye to the icon in the bottom, which, again, is the comparison icon or the comparison plate. And let's start our game. All right. So EDC family, I've had some time to play around with this and look at it and get a little feel for it. I know it's not anything dramatic. In fact, it's really not much at all. But with that being said, because we haven't pre-done anything on this knife, we are going to bring out something that we are experimenting with. And that's this little writer here. Let's move our coffin for a moment. Come here, little coffin. Let's move my editor. Okay, so this little guy is a little kid's writer thing. Oh, and I lost the knife already. Look at that. I got stuck. You know what? That's fine. We'll leave it like that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to write in needs. Ooh, let's spell that correctly, Prophet. We are going to write in needs. And we're going to put 3 down, and we're going to write nails. And we're going to put 3 down. Okay, so we have an idea of what we're going to be looking at. So we'll move that off to the side a little, and I am getting some glare there. I apologize for that, folks, but I think we all get, oh, you know what? I think we get it. We'll play with it a little bit. Honestly, pluses for this right off the bat. And you guys know me really well. You really do. So you probably are going to see this one coming. But the weight to blade ratio. So our weight to blade ratio on this is absolutely awesome. Again, we've got about 2 ounces of knife here. And you've got over 2 inches of blade. Honestly, you really can't ask for a better idea. The second thing that I am going to put for sure on this guy, 100%, is going to be the profile of the knife. For a smaller knife, we kind of talked about this. So we're doing profile. And what I mean by profile, EDC family, is we looked at some thinner knives, and you've got a really nice swoop here, and then you have the choil here. So the profile of the knife for being a small tool, I mean, you've got jimping, for goodness sakes, even. You know, you can move the pocket clip for left or right. I mean, just super neat. I gotta be honest, I'm super surprised by that action for a smaller knife, which, that's what we're gonna go. We're gonna go action. All right, I think we got our first 3. And as always, we do a recap. What we do like so far, folks, if you're remembering, is our weight to blade ratio on this guy. We love that. That is definitely a positive. First impressions are, I love the profile. And what we mean again by that is the choil and the way that the bottom swoops out. It feels good in your hand. This one surprises me. For something so small, I didn't think I was going to be able to open it well. The snappy action, super cool. Absolutely love it. Okay, let's get into, oh wow, he's really ahead of me right now. Professor just did what he always does and threw that nail sound out already. I'll say this 100%. I am not a fan of the pocket clip already. So that's going to chew your pants up. I think they could have done something a little different. It does have the slide here, so you'll get it in, but it's going to get stuck. There's nothing smoothed out on the G10. I'm gonna put this up to our microphone and see if you can hear this, EDC family. So that G10 that you just heard is very, very, it's actually much more dramatic than you think it is. Yeah, absolutely much more dramatic than you think it is. So what you're hearing right there is what your pocket's gonna, oh man, your pocket's gonna have to deal with this. That is gonna chew through your pocket. It's gonna be hard to get out, especially such a small, light knife. That's gonna get stuck there, and I'm gonna be honest, at least first impression wise, I don't see us getting out of that very quickly. So we're gonna put pocket clip. All right, so we got pocket clip here, all right. Let's see here. Is there anything else that I don't like about it? I will say this, for a small knife, I would have liked to see the jimping a little higher up. They have the jimping right behind your pointer finger here. So what's happening is my thumb wants to naturally rest here. And that's just, there's no more jimping here. It's nice, and I would love to see, I mean, the jimping's great. I can feel it on the back of my thumb here. But I would have liked to see the jimping move up a little bit. So we're just going to put jimping placement. All right, let's see what else do we got here. So what else? You know, I don't know if there's anything else I really hate. I mean, honestly, let me just see. You know what, folks? I know we normally try to, for entertainment-wise, find a third thing, right? And then go through everything and be like, hey, you know, I'm going to put size down because I do like the entertainment value for you all. The size isn't something that Profit usually uses. Maybe that will change, because guess what? I'm not even going to go crazy. We're not going to do the normal thing we do where we drum roll and prance around. I'm going to give it another need right now, which is going to make it go into the pile for us to start carrying and testing it in the real world, both on the compound and everywhere else. It's a Ben Petersen product. And for that alone, this knife deserves us to take a peek at it. So let's quick go through those needs and nails again for you, and what the deciding factor was for the CIVIVI Ben Petersen Baby Banter in red and ivory with Nitro V steel at $65 on Amazon. The weight to blade ratio was awesome. The profile for a small knife was pretty cool. The action, unbelievably, for my big hands, works like a charm. Honestly, I'm super impressed with that action. The nails, or the negatives that we found, number one was the pocket clip. Number two was the jimping placement. The jimping is the portion of the knife that has got some cutouts for traction when you're cutting. And that's located right here on this knife. And when I put my thumb on it, my thumb sits a lot higher. I'm not even touching the jimping with my middle thumb there. And for me, just to kind of move through the normal way we do things here, number three was the size isn't normally something I would purchase. I don't know if something like this small will be useful for me, but we're going to give it a shot. We're going to give it its due shot. And what pushed it over the edge in not so crazy fashion like normal is this is a Ben Petersen knife. And we learned a little bit about Ben Petersen, and I'm sure that after a full review, you folks will like to see a lot more from him, right? Or at least some more of his options, or how I, Prophet, or Professor, found this little guy. All right, I'm going to move our little board out of the way here with my fun handwriting. And what we're going to do is we are going to close this mini game out. Remember, when a product wins our mini game, we are going to take the next 30 days, maybe not from right this second, but the knife will get a minimum of 30 days on the compound and in the real world in our pockets, and we will do a full review. This is not the full review. We're not recommending that you buy this knife at this point. We are going to give it some more thought and some more use, and we're going to let you know what our thought process is on that. You may disagree, like always, but we're still going to do that. Now, about our little knife today and all other knives or items that we have, or even will have on our channel in the future. Remember, folks, we're YouTubers. We're not lawyers. You should never get legal advice from anyone that isn't a professional. Okay, but seriously, please look into and know about your local knife laws. If you're not sure how, a good place to start is the ATKI.org. They are the American Tool and Knife Institute, and they are on the front lines helping us keep our freedoms and rights for knives. Unless your hands and fingers are stuck in wax or ice cream or, I don't know, some sweet taffy, you should be able to easily find us online. And then you, our wonderful EDC family, can help us grow. Remember, we're not social media experts by any means. With your help, we will start learning that better as well. So please feel free to find and then, or lovingly click and then find, right, on your favorite social media app or site, CarryorBury. It's all one word, right? At CarryorBury. We're on pretty much everything, or try to be. We would love to see what's in your pocket. We would love for you to tell us what you want reviewed on the channel, or even what your favorite stuff is or what you're saving up to buy. We would just love to hear more from all of you, because preparedness is really what EDC is all about. Now, don't forget to click and subscribe, turn on notifications, and like these little things. That way we'll continue to keep being more confident to make you more content. With your help, we will be one of the most prepared families on YouTube and beyond. So, as usual, until next time, EDC family, keep those blades sharp, keep those flashlights charged, and keep those Band-Aids close. Remember, folks, you are the best tool in your daily EDC loadout. May God bless you all. We mean that seriously. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Good night, EDC family. Good night, says the Baby Banter. Show me your flipper. Boom. Show me your flipper. The Baby Banter, baby. With the little baby flashlight. It's just all kinds of little stuff, just chilling, right? Just a little guy. Heck, my screwdriver. This is that's my screwdriver. Let's do a comparison on size with my screwdriver. Well, you know, it's not fair actually to do it this way, ADC family. Since the knife is open, the screwdriver should be open, right? So let's pop a bit in it just for, that way it's you know, fully ready to be used. So that's about there. Yeah, the Banter is definitely bigger than my little pocket screwdriver, but not by much. It's pretty funny. Pretty cool to see that, actually. I love it. For those who think that I don't have my Band-Aids close, by the way, because I was pointing around, there's my Band-Aid. Yo, EDC family, real quick. Cuz Prophet says, show me your pocket check. If you ain't got nothing, we'll play Simon Says. And Simon Says, go to the store instead. Pick yourself up something little and red, like the Baby Banter. Prophet out. Peace.